Welcome back, Galaxy Brains. You know this is the Film Lover's Guide to the Galaxy. As always, I am here with Joe and Jared, and we haven't done one of these in a while. We are going to do our top 5 lists. We're going to do it with a movie that is coming out in a couple weeks. The end of the Daniel Craig era, No Time to Die. Yes, we are going to do our top 5 James Bond movies. But before we get all into that, Joe, you know this is your time.
So I'm not gonna. The point of this rant is this. Let's say that costs you like 20 grand a year, okay? And the insurance covers 80. You're like, oh, it's a pretty good deal. Well, no, you have cancer.
What's the worst thing you'll do for $1 million?
Fuck you! Stop fucking dropping oil into the Gulf, you dipshits. Fucking morons. I feel like this is a little bit closer to what we're dealing with today, but I have been recently more and more disliking Rotten Tomatoes critic tomato meter. Okay.
Don't you fucking put this juju on Dune.
No, actually it's a general thing at all. Just complete general. So, but anyway, it's just I feel like there's a couple things, and I guess this can apply not necessarily to Rotten Tomatoes, but it's just the fact that a lot of I guess the average user, the average viewer would just go to Rotten Tomatoes to go, let me look at the percentages and all that kind of stuff. So, back a long time ago, and I'll just try to keep it short. Long time ago, there used to be a couple critics. You have, back in the day, and they would write long pieces on why or why not they would like a movie, and you'll read it, and you'll see their opinions, and you'll say, oh, I can agree with them or disagree. But the bottom line is, if you were interested in a movie, you'd still watch it. Now, the big problem is that anyone could be a movie critic, right? And yes, there are Rotten Tomato certified movie critics, whatever, but there's a shit ton of them, right? And Rotten Tomato uses like a computer aggregate to just condense that into a single percentage. And I think Johnny may have mentioned this before, but the rating system isn't like, let's give it a letter grade or give it a certain number out of 10. It's just basically a thumbs up or a thumbs down, fresh or rotten. And that really fucks up with the percentages because it only takes a binary yes or no, and it just doesn't give a very accurate view on what an average critic would think is fresh or not. I think, and it's very difficult even for the average viewer if you wanted to read opinions. There's just a sheer volume of them, and and there's giant bias now because of the whole internet thing. Critics, they don't want to piss off the movie studios that are giving them exclusive content. They don't want to piss off their boss for whatever giant, website conglomerate you're working for, and now you got to say certain things. You can't say a certain movie sucks just because you want to lose your job and that kind of thing. So same thing with social clout. If you start going viral, you get millions of views stuff. It's very, very. It's like a drug. You want to get that again, so you don't want to do anything to piss off your audience base. You don't want to say a certain movie's good or certain movie's bad, and because you'll start losing followers on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. So, anyways. I just don't think the validity of these things is very good. Now, I understand that this podcast is also movie critics, right? But you're listening to it, and I guess the best way I can see it, and this is how I do it, is just make a judgment call if a movie looks good. Just go in there, watch a trailer, whatever. Just go watch it. And if it sucks, that's just sort of things what happen. If it's good, great. Another thing I like to do is you have a couple litmus tests that you know personally. I know how Johnny likes the types of movies Johnny likes. I like the type of movie Jeff likes. I know the type of movie Jared likes, etc. That kind of thing. And let's say you have a couple friends that have a very similar taste to you. They watch a movie, they go, "This movie is good." That's a good way to think of if it's a good movie. It's good or not. But the whole thing here is I just don't think the number on Rotten Tomatoes critic is accurate. Is all I'm saying. Now, there's some things they could be. If it's like a 99%, I guess there's some validity there, but. A lot of these, like 40 to 60% bullshit, I think it's mostly bullshit, I think. It can swing either way is all I'm trying to say. And that's my spiel for the day.
I'm glad you brought up Rotten Tomatoes. I think my problem with Rotten Tomatoes isn't so much of the score itself. I think it's the way they present the score. Movies, I think we can all agree, is a very subjective medium. It is really based on how you feel, stuff like that. Now, there are steps along the way to make a good movie, whether it's like, how you pace the movie, how you write it, where you're getting your actors, blah, blah, blah. But in terms of your opinion of the movie, it's very subjective. What I don't like about Rotten Tomatoes is that they have made something subjective into something that's objective. And that's something that I really hate about looking at the score. When someone tells me this movie scored 90%, I literally asked them, what does that mean to you? My wife, I used to ask her that. She's like, oh, the movie's an A. I'm like, wrong. That is not what this is. All it's telling me to do is that out of 100 people, 90 people say, yeah, go watch the movie. Right? That really isn't a true assessment. It's just more like, oh yeah, it's a fine movie. Is it a great movie? Maybe. But I that is my biggest thing. And I'm a guy that likes to actually read the reviews, both rotten and fresh, right? It's just because I like to see the difference of opinions. That way I know there's certain critics like Roger Ebert back in the day. I used to read him all the time. He made movies very relatable to me. I didn't agree with him like 40% of the time, but it is something that I loved reading. Now these days I read people like Kenneth Turan. He's really good. James Bernelli, I think he still writes. Justin Chang, NPR. Like these guys I read because I do like their insights. Not necessarily agree with them, but I think they give me something else that opens my eyes when it comes to movies. Jared, what did you watch, consume this past week?
Oh boy. I've been getting into a lot of stuff recently. Mostly I've been watching and really enjoying the last or the first few episodes of the season of What We Do in the Shadows. Gosh, that show's great. It's probably my favorite show on TV right now. There's a lot I need to start watching. Why the Last Man? I'm a big fan of the comic book, and I've heard it's been getting some pretty good reviews. I know I've been watching some other stuff, but I can't think of it. Oh yeah, football season started, baby.
Yeah.
Also, oh yeah. So I've been watching the rest of that Stanley Tucci eats delicious food in Italy show.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what it's called, but it's Stanley Tucci searching Italy or whatever. Really awesome. Very, very nice just to have on in the background. Really nice to watch because it's so like he's so affable and so nice to, you just kind of want to have a beer with the guy. I also have been playing a new game that came out recently called Deathloop.
Oh yeah, that that looked really good. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
you could rewind and shit.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's like kind of like a Hitman game, which I fucking love the Hitman games. But it's first person and has a lot of humor to it. Really good voice acting. I'm having a blast with it. And yeah, that's about it. If I think of anything, oh yeah, we I don't think I talk about it. But we finished the first season of the Righteous Gemstones, and boy, that show is the best. Highly recommend it to everybody. It's just it's a typical Danny McBride TV show, but it's just got but John Goodman is just lights out in it, and I'm so glad I decided to push through and finish it. I really liked it. Yeah, that's all I got for this week.
Cool. Yeah, I've been busy, a lot of work, so I've been watching what my wife's been watching, and she went on a Harry Potter binge. Let me tell you, that franchise still holds up. It's still really fun to watch. I was like sitting there, and I was like, wow, this is still pretty cool, and I'm like still really invested in a lot of movies. I still think that the best one is probably Prisoner of Azkaban, because I think that's when the actual franchise kind of turned, and I was like, oh, it's starting to get darker, but it's getting good. Outside of that, been watching football both Sunday and Monday. Chargers finally didn't blow a lead, beat not the Redskins, sorry. We beat the Washington football team. God, that's going to be a little bit just to keep deprogramming my brain from not saying. It was fun because, if you guys don't know, Jared is a Washington fan, and it's the first time LA actually did something right and not blow a lead. Which reminds me, I wanted to ask you guys, after 1 week in the books, how's your fantasy team looking?
I lost the first week, but it's I didn't lose because I completely flubbed the ball. The other guy played pretty well, and I played pretty mediocre, sort of thing. So I feel okay, and it's just the first week. I feel like I can bounce back.
I went 8-8 in my pick'em league, and I lost my first week in my keeper league. I'm in a pick'em league but I won $16 on FanDuel because I'm an absolute degenerate gambler. So yeah.
Nice. So it's funny. I was talking to Joe, and he's all like, "Man, so Joe, tell me if you started Gronkowski, would you have won week 1?"
Yep, because I think one of my wide receivers gave me 0 points. So, but then the thing is, it'd be hard. If I purely played perfectly, I would have won. Yes, but
Okay.
I would say it's hard for me because I'd have to move Gronk into a flex position and one of those guys into the perfect wide receiver position. So,
Wow, you'd have to move Gronk into. Oh, you guys don't play tight
because
end, though.
we do.
Oh,
I
you
had
do.
Kittle.
Oh, you have Kittle. Okay.
Yeah. So,
I
and
feel
I
like
wasn't gonna not play Kittle.
I feel like Kittle's going to be the most aggravating player to own this year
Yeah,
because he can shell out, be like a great wide receiving tight end, but he can also just be a great regular tight end blocking and stuff.
Yeah,
So
he could pull the McCaffrey numbers every once in a while, but consistently speaking, it's hard to say. I mean, I know that injuries kind of plagued him last year. I'm really hoping he got over all of that, and now he's better, which is sort of what I'm banking on.
all right, Joe, what did you consume this past week?
I only did really one thing. Is I've been really watching Only Murders in the Building. It's a show on Hulu with created by Steve Martin, but Steve Martin's in it with Martin Short, Selena Gomez. It's like a murder mystery, but it's a comedy, which is sort of new-ish for me. But the whole idea is that it's in the trailer, so I don't think I'm ruining anything. A guy gets murdered in a affluent New York apartment complex, and these three live in it, and they're trying to play like the Hardy Boys and trying to figure out who it is. And they have pretty funny. It's Steve Martin, you have classic Steve Martin comedy. It's Martin Short, classic, Martin Short comedy. Selena Gomez, kind of a new one there, but again, I think she does a great job. So, I think the whole thing was written pretty well. It was executed pretty well, and I enjoyed it immensely. So, there's 10. I think there's 10 episodes in the first season. I think they already got renewed for a second one. So, good stuff. So that's what I've been watching this week.
Hey guys, this is Lamar Edwards from the For the Culture Draft Show. If you're interested in what our show is, it's basically us taking the sports element of drafting, like the way the NBA drafts their players or the NFL drafts their players or the MLB or the NHL. We take that concept and we draft everything in life. So basically what we'll do is, for example, video games, we draft music artists, we draft songs, we draft anything that you can think of, we try to draft it. Even cartoon characters and TV shows, we draft them all. It's a very great interactive show that we have live recordings on Spotify Green Room on Monday and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and Halftime Sports at 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern Time, depending on the scheduling. But yeah, if you are interested, come on down, check us out, download Spotify Green Room, download Halftime Sports, and check us out on those times, and we'll be happy to see you there. In case you miss the actual live recording, you can always check it out on Apple Podcasts, you can check it out on Spotify Podcasts, and anywhere that you can listen to a podcast, we are basically there. We're also on Good Pod, so check us out there as well. My name is Lamar Edwards, and thank you, and hopefully to see you soon.
All right, guys. So Joe brought back the movie trivia game. So he's going to ask me and Jared some questions here. Oh, hopefully I can win again. But if he's evening out those questions, I gotta start remembering some of the stuff in the movies, little details.
Okay, so again, for people who may not know, my knowledge in movies is being dwarfed by these two. These two are just giant libraries. So I try to pick questions that I am not very familiar with because they would know. A lot of history-ish questions, a lot of detail-ish questions. We'll see. I didn't pick too many questions, but we'll see. All right, you guys ready? I'm not so sure about the hand raising thing because I'll try it, but I'd say that blurt it out is the fastest way. Johnny, Jesus Christ. All right, you guys ready? All right, first one. This Disney movie was the first full-length animated feature produced in the United States.
Snow White.
Okay, yeah. So again, the hand raising thing. You guys both raised your hand at the same time. Again, we're just gonna go with whoever says it first.
All right.
Cool, Johnny. Unraise your hand. I can't fucking see shit with that kind of. All right. Here we go. Okay. Which two films?
Wait, so was it Snow White?
It was. Yes, you got it right. Sorry, 1937.
Yes.
For which two films did Tom Hanks receive an Academy Award for Best Actor?
Philadelphia and Forrest Gump.
Correct. Again, okay. In Star Wars, how many languages can C-3PO speak?
5 million.
No.
$1.
What? What? It's a number. I'm gonna give this one to Jared because it's 6 million. I guess it's more of a technicality thing.
Oh yeah, fluent in over
Yeah.
6 million forms of communication.
Okay, so I'm gonna give that to Jared because $1. The fuck? You should get negative points for that shit. All right.
Price is right, dude. I didn't know if he overdid.
Actually, yeah. In that sense, you got it right. Okay, which actress has won the most?
He absolutely did not get it right.
I know.
Jared got it right. Because
I'm giving Jared the point.
I don't know if he overbid or not.
You said he did. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Which actress has won the most Academy Awards in history?
Meryl Streep.
Nope.
Most awards in history.
Academy Awards in history.
Huh.
This is what it just says. I'm just saying that's the question.
And it's actress, and it's not
actress.
Meryl Streep has 3. So who has more than 3?
Katharine Hepburn.
Correct. I don't know how that rule works. You guys cool with just having multiple guesses? Johnny, you make the call.
I was
okay.
I
Tied up.
Get that.
This Indiana Jones film. By the way, she won 4. This Indiana Jones film sparked controversy that led to the creation of the PG-13 rating.
Temple of Doom.
Correct.
Damn it! It is Temple of Doom.
Okay, here we go. Who was the first solo female host of the Oscars?
Ellen DeGeneres.
Nope.
Wasn't Whoopi?
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know she did it solo.
Yeah. All right, I believe it's tied up. What is Stephen King's top-grossing movie?
Stand By Me?
Nope.
The Green Mile? Nope. Oh. Can I get one more?
It's not The Shining. It's not The Shining, so I don't know.
Is it Jared?
Shawshank?
What's that?
Oh.
Shawshank Redemption?
Nope.
Oh. Misery?
Fucking Misery? I don't know.
It's The
Cape
Shining.
Fear? Oh, what's The Shining? Oh, I was right. Oh, okay. Woo.
He doesn't get it, though.
Yeah. We'll call that a wash.
No.
All right, here we go. This one's going to be quick.
Wait.
Which war was Saving Private Ryan set on?
Oh, come on. World War II?
All right. You're just faster. Okay. You guys are tied up. 3 more questions. You guys ready? In the movie Breakfast Club, why is Bender in detention?
Why who? So who was it?
Why is Bender in detention?
Doesn't he just show up?
There's a reason.
I'm gonna give a hard pass on this.
Smoking pot?
Yeah, I was gonna give it a guess. That's not it. Johnny, just give it a guess. It's a very classic reason for going into detention.
He said something bad to the teacher?
Nah. Pull the fire alarm.
Oh.
Okay. Next one. Where is Brokeback Mountain filmed?
Oh,
Wyoming?
Correct.
Damn.
All right, last one's going to be a little bit easy, I guess. How long does Red spend in prison before being paroled in the Shawshank Redemption?
How long?
Yes.
I don't
He
know.
is mentioned in the film.
Oh, 12 years? I don't know.
30 years?
Are we going to go by Price is Right rules? You guys want to stick to those answers?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then Jared wins. 40 years. 40 years.
But,
But,
I'm thinking of I'm mixing the character up.
Yeah.
It's just Morgan Freeman's character, right?
Yeah. I would have known maybe 2 of these. And so it just goes to show how much these guys know. But it's interesting to kind of probe your knowledge.
We haven't done this in a while. We're actually going to give out our top 5 James Bond movies from in the franchise. But before we do all that, Jared, tell me your first memory of James Bond.
First memory of James Bond. I saw the older ones when I was a kid, and I thought they were fine. Roger Moore was always silly. Sean Connery was always like the suave one, and like the movies, like I'm sorry, like if you go back to them, they're really like, especially those first couple were pretty clunky. They're pretty like Sean Connery's fucking ironing his like shirt and it's bum ba ba. It's like, okay, fuck, like, and they feel very long. Is it just me or are they all very long?
A
You
couple
know,
of them
like,
do feel it, yes.
but I remember my dad bringing my brother and I to see Goldeneye in the theater at the Westminster Mall, and it was awesome. I also remember like him like being like, "Oh, I shouldn't have brought you guys to this. You are way too young."
Yeah, holy shit.
But yeah, no, it was it was really good. I man, the next couple Pierce Brosnan ones were pretty bad though. And I kind of, I was never a Bond super fan until like Casino Royale. God, Casino Royale. Daniel Craig is, I think, has the best Bond movies. Even or how do I want to say this? I think he is the best actor to play Bond, even though his movies haven't always been the best material for Bond. I think he's much better than Pierce Brosnan. I think he's much better than most of the other ones. I mean, if I had to rank the Bonds, it would probably be.
Wait, that's what we're doing now, though.
No, like no. The people actually playing James Bond.
Oh, okay.
It would probably be Craig at number 1, Connery at 2, and Roger Moore at number 3. But that's just me. I'm like kind of a weird. I'm not a super big Bond fan. But what about you, Joe?
Okay, so just a little bit of history. My parents were uber mega strict. Okay, remember that. So watching any kind of action, especially Bond, right? Come on, there's action, there's pretty women everywhere and all that kind of stuff, and that's just not. It wasn't gonna fly. So my first experience was of Bond in general, going to some friend's house and playing Goldeneye on N64. And some bitch ass motherfucker playing Odd Job. That was clearly not made well. Shooting everyone's knees out. I had a blast. And that's sort of what I think is the earliest memory. And then from then I would, just go. I would pretty much watch those kind of things at a friend's house or something. And overall, I'm a movie addict. I like the idea of creating this kind of world. I like the whole spy action genre, and I've at some point I've watched most of the Bonds just because I like the franchise in general. And so yeah, again, like I'm sort of with Jared there. I'm not sure I'm a mega fan, diehard fan, but I watched them. I liked them. I pretty much agree with what you said there with Craig being one of the best. But the one thing I do have to say, and will reflect on my rankings, is that with spycraft and action movies, they only get better with time. And I understand that some of the old stuff people really like, but especially when you're going with cool gadgets and fast cars and new guns and new explosives, just the new shit's just going to be better. It's just in my opinion. So that's sort of where, just kind of preview what my rankings are. But that's sort of my experience with Bond.
I think it's safe to say, for me, I started off with GoldenEye. I think that was, my biggest introduction. The video game was excellent. I always loved doing the time trial that's on the yacht to kind of go through. I thought it was the coolest thing ever where you're hanging out on top of the bathroom and you see the guard. And I'm not trying to shoot the guy. I shoot the guy's hat first. And then he's all like, what happened? And doesn't know. And then he goes back to sitting on the pot, and then you take him out. But yeah, I'm not a super fan, but I am a big fan of the Bond series, and I view Bond more so as time goes on. I view Bond like I would the NBA, is that I have to separate it by decades, because if I'm trying to compare decades together, the most recent one, like Joe was saying with Spycraft, those things get better with technology, which means that in terms of storytelling, it probably gets better. I agree with Jared. I think Daniel Craig is the best Bond because I didn't grow up with Sean Connery. I watched his movies when I was in college. So I understand that people that watched it when it came out, why Connery is still their favorite. I do recognize how good Connery is in a lot of those movies because he is kind of the template that sets out. But I will say this, I am very hit or miss on Roger Moore. I'm not the biggest one. I think Pierce Brosnan should be in the top 3. He should be at least number 3. I think he did the most with terrible material. That man got, Goldeneye was his best movie, and it just progressively got worse, and I don't believe that's Pierce's fault. I believe the writing itself. Tomorrow Never Dies. Shoot, it
was really bad.
Yeah. And then
which one was the one with Halle Berry?
That is Die Another Day. That was his last movie. And I was like, oh man. Like, I think the best thing about the Pierce Brosnan era is like it gave us Judi Dench as M. Like, I think that is kind of where we kind of take away from it. But the material that Pierce got, I swear, man, it just wasn't good. And I felt bad for him because I think because it ebbs and flows, right? Because you got Connery, then it went to Lazenby, and Lazenby was trying to do something a little different, which, with Honor Seeker's Majesty Service, like, this is kind of more of like a template for what we see with Daniel Craig now that we think about it as we kind of reflect. But then, they went back to Connery. Then they decided to go more of the, wink, wink, suave in terms of Roger Moore. We flip it back to Timothy Dalton, which is a little bit more serious. Pierce is kind of doing more Roger Moore, but I think he could have done Dalton if they'd given him the material. I'm always going to stand for Pierce Brosnan. I think he showed like you can do it with Goldeneye. The last 3 movies that he was in, I don't fault him at that point. So before we talk about the movies itself, Bond is very iconic with the actual, first song, their theme song, beginning of every movie. Is there a favorite of you guys between all the Bond movies that you love?
Adele, I think. But that's just because it's more recent. So
an absolute heater. Like she that one. I also really like the Casino Royale one.
Oh yeah, with Chris Cornell, man.
The Chris Cornell, yeah.
Who would have thought the lead singer of Soundgarden and Audioslave would have nailed a really good theme song that's there? Those ones I like. I love Goldeneye. Tina Turner like killed it in that one.
God, did she do that one? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Tina Turner.
Like the new stuff's good. Sam Smith stuff was good too. Like I liked it. I
don't know, man. That song was kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie to you.
But with the new ones, they like the intro song is almost like kind of like quote unquote NFL halftime show. It's like something that they give to a big artist that they think they can do a unique song or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. I think that's really cool. So I like that they put a lot of focus onto it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of A View to a Kill because one, dumb, to this day is still a dumb title for a movie. But that Duran Duran song is a banger. Like I will listen to that one because I love Duran Duran. I thought that was a really good song there as well. But let's kind of get into it here. So we'll start off with Joe. Joe.
Oh boy.
What do you have at number 5?
I think this is, again, I would like to preface this by saying I am a pretty casual movie fan. And I think a lot of people are going to disagree with mine. And my number 5 is Goldfinger. I think a lot of people think this is like the best Bond. And I can see that. But again, the big thing for me is just modernizing specifically these kinds of movies. with new tech, new thing. I like it all. So, but Sean Connery, he's got the swag, he's got the look, he's got it all. I mean, remember the Bond girl here was pussy galore. I mean, just don't forget that. I just thought that was just like it's kind of on the nose. And I'm sure it was fine back then, and it was just the movie itself was great. This I think the storyline was great. I think the fact that Aston Martin making it more mainstream, more popular, great. Having the pretty girl. I mean, it sort of checks all the marks, all the things of what makes a great Bond movie. And if I didn't care so much about the fact that it's an older movie, that this would probably be one of the top movies. But that's just sort of what it is, and that's just I'm trying to explain why I picked it as number 5. But it's still a great movie. So if you haven't seen it, please check it out. Sean Connery does an excellent job as Bond. So that's my number 5.
What about you, Jared? What do you have at number 5?
My number 5 is Goldeneye. It being the first one I've ever seen in the theater. I have a lot of memories attached to it, and just like the video game, everything like that. Like, it opened with him at the dam, right?
Yes.
And like jumping off, like
he was bungee jumping off a dam.
That whole like set piece is still like singed into my brain. And that one computer hacker guy getting all of like that liquid nitrogen like sprayed on him and like dying from that at the end. And like it was a nice, like, I feel like, so because that was the first Bond that they've had in like a long time when that came out.
There was like a 10-year gap.
Yeah, whenever there's a big gap like that, I always feel they kind of nail it. And I really like that movie. It's definitely number 5 on mine. Pierce Brosnan, like good Bond girl, good villain. Pierce Brosnan. I mean, he's not my favorite Bond, but he's absolutely serviceable, much more than some of the worst Bonds on the list.
Yeah, so I agree with Jared. That's my number 5. A lot of it is nostalgia. I mean, he is the first Bond that I've seen, so I have a great attachment to him. I remember that scene very clearly. Rewatching on Blu-ray now, especially when he's jumping off the cliff from the motorcycle to get into the plane. His little blue screen CGI, that's a little there, right? But it wasn't that so much as disbelief as I was watching it. Like you were talking about. Famke Janssen as Xena Onatopp, like excellent, like Bond girl villain. You got Sean Bean, who plays 006 Alex Trevelyan. I thought he was really good and kind of sets the precedent on how we view him as an actor. Like, oh, this guy probably will turn on us, or he can be really good. And I loved him in it. Like I said, it introduced us to a new M in Judi Dench, and I think it's a very good start to kind of have her there and then kind of move on. So yeah, I agree. Goldeneye is my number 5. All right, Joe, we're at 4. What movie do you have at number 4?
Number 4, I have World Is Not Enough. And again, I think a lot of people will disagree. I think a lot of Pierce Brosnan's movie outside of Goldeneye was like, yeah, he declined quite a bit. And I would have to agree that with what you said before, that a lot of the stuff he was given was kind of rough to deal with. But man, I like Brosnan. I really liked, at least for this movie. This is Judi Dench's like second or third movie being as M, and I really liked her as M. I think she was really sort of falling into that role, kind of expanding what M can do, things like that. You got Denise Richards. Oh my God, Denise Richards. I think Sophie Maricow is her name.
Yep.
Great Bond girls. And I don't know. You have a villain who, because of a bullet, lost all feelings. So he's like, quote unquote, invincible or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess. In our world, that's called diabetes. But I mean, it's just. So that was kind of out there, but that just kind of goes to show, like, movies that are 20 years old or whatever it is, they're sort of limited to what you can do, and You mentioned green screen. Yeah, of course they do green screen. But we just do it better now with in the modern day. I don't know. I sort of just liked it, and I think I'm a little bit biased because again my parents were really strict. I didn't get to want to watch movies, so when I did get to watch a movie, I just absorbed it like a sponge, and this really just stuck with me. And I was like, wow, really cool, just watching with intense fascination. But that's what it was. So I have that at my number 4.
I mean, I will say this about The World Is Not Enough. I think having Electric King turn and be the actual bad guy was actually really good. I thought that was actually pretty.
What a twist! Right? Yeah.
Because I honestly, that was one of the few times where I'm like, oh shit, she is the bad guy.
I mean, it's like nice to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like with Bane and Talia al Ghul. Oh, we should have known better. It wasn't Bane, right? And like you were talking about Judi Dench, she was given a lot of screen time in that, and I think that's where we kind of gravitate towards her in this movie. So yeah, good pick. Jared, who do you have at number 4?
Number 4, I got Moonraker, motherfuckers. Moonraker is so silly. I mean, fucking Roger. So my grandma always, my Japanese grandma always pronounced it Najamua, and I will never forget that. That's why I always say it like that. People look at me like I'm a racist, but I'm not because I am Japanese. And my grandma, Rajamua, I love Rajamua. So, but yeah, like Moonraker is so silly because it has fucking Jaws, a giant strong guy with metal teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, chill. And then they go to the fucking moon, like outer space, like to a space station. And like the promotional thing is Roger Moore in a spacesuit with a gun with his Walther PPK, and just like, it's like, yeah, dog, like I am in on that. Like that's the kind of dumb that I really, really can get behind in these kind of movies. And like Roger Moore's Bond was all about the crazy gadgets. Not saying that Sean Connery's wasn't, but Roger Moore's Bond like took it to the next level. I forgot what movie it was. Do you remember the one where he's like flying on the airplane, getting away, and then he lands it and the wings fly up and he pulls into the fucking gas station and starts pulling it up?
Was it the opening for
that,
For Your Eyes Only?
For Your Eyes Only?
For Your Eyes Only. I think that's what it is.
It's the woman there, and I'm like, yeah. Okay, Raj, I'm into it.
Oh yeah, I agree. Moonraker, I don't know if that is my favorite of his, but it's top 3 in terms of it.
Easily.
Just for Jaws himself, I think that was really good. I think, Moonraker is like the Fast 9 of James Bond movies. I'm like, how much further can we push this secret agent out? And they did. When was
the last time you watched Moonraker? Just out of curiosity, because I've watched it, but it's a long time ago.
Like 3-4 months ago, to be honest with you.
What?
It's been literal years.
Okay, so the prosthesis he has in his mouth for that silver shit looks absolutely redonkulous. But I guess that's,
I mean, his teeth were messed. I think he had gigantism.
But that would cause growth of the jaw, not of the teeth.
No, well, I know, but his teeth were fucked up because the jaw was growing.
Yeah, but it's just,
I'm talking about the real life guy.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's just the thing they put. It's like a giant silver thing on upper and lower. Arr!
In if you will, in kayfabe. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I just thought, like, I don't know. For me personally, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? But that's really about it. Yeah.
So yeah, for me at number 4, it's Goldfinger. It's Sean Connery's third outing. I think this movie is the movie that sets the template for everything that goes beyond here. And we get all the Bond stuff that we do, whether it's like getting introduced to gadgets, the car, the bombastic villain. You got, your chase scenes, you got themes. Plus it's very memorable. I think you guys remember the Hank Scorpio episode from The Simpsons. Hopefully you guys do.
Hank
when he
Scorpio is my favorite like character in that whole
right?
show.
So I didn't realize that there was some Bond stuff that was happening there until
Oh
I
my
saw
God.
Goldfinger, right?
When he stands in front of the council, he goes, "There's a Scorpio."
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, when he says like, you know, do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die, right? And then he's like, doing all this. I never put two and two together until I watched Goldfinger, and then rewatching that Simpsons episode now gives me greater appreciation for it. But I think, Goldfinger has to be on this list. Joe thinks it's a little too low. I think 4 is good because, at least for me, because there's 3 other movies I think kind of usurp it. But yeah, I without Goldfinger, I don't think we get the Bond template. And
It's a good
that's something that we need.
foundation for all
Correct.
Bond movies.
All right, Joe, what movie do you have at number 3?
Number 3 is a purely a nostalgia pick for me. It's Goldeneye, just because of how much impact it had in my life for the awesome video game. I spent hours playing that game with my buddy. I think it was in middle school or I don't forget, elementary school, whatever it was. The game was freaking awesome. And then he's like, yeah, let's go watch the movie. The movie was freaking equally as awesome. And so it just, I don't know. It just a lot of nostalgia here, a lot of good times, a lot of, thinking of those times where you were a kid, you had not as much stupid ass adult, responsibilities, if anything, I would say it's looking back in like what rose tinted glasses they say. It might not necessarily be everyone's top 3 here, but it just reminds me of really good times, and I think it was a very solid, one of the best Pierce Brosnan movies. So that's my number 3.
What about you, Jared? What is the number 3 Bond movie you have on your list?
It is Goldfinger. I think you got to pay homage to the OG. It is my favorite Sean Connery one by far. It has the most iconic villain. God, I remember. I forgot which channel used to show all the Bond movies on like Thanksgiving or like whatever holiday.
Can I say something right here? The
Yeah,
fact that you had that as like I didn't have any of that shit. I had no cable TV, no nothing. I had some bullshit national. I was so jealous of you guys that had cable TV.
It probably was on MGM channel, to be honest.
But I'm
with
just
you.
saying that's all I gotta say. But continue.
But like the iconic scene where they cover her in gold and it suffocates her and it kills her, and like Sean Connery, like he's kind of a shitty person because he advocates for hitting women, but he was like a central figure of like cinema and a lot, and like in James Bond and bringing that character to life. So I can appreciate like that movie and the other ones, but like he's I prefer Daniel Craig.
At number 3, I have Casino Royale. So the second Martin Campbell
Hot
movie.
take.
So I have it at number 3 because I have a feeling with these two guys too, and I'm the one that bumps it down. I really, really love Casino Royale, and I think it's because from like we talked about from the separation, Die Another Day really left a bad taste in the mouths of people, and they decided, hey, Martin Campbell, who did Goldeneye, we're about to reboot this. Let's kind of go, and they gave us a great kind of like almost origin of James Bond, a kind of good stepping stone. I still remember the parkour scene in the beginning, which I think is absolutely brilliant that you do. You see a guy that is all agile and Bond is just ramming through shit because he's not that type of agent that we have yet. I think we have the best Bond girl, hands down, played by Eva Green and Vesper Lynn, by far. Mads Mikkelsen, this is when I first noticed who he is. He was very good as the chief villain here. And I love the little building stuff. The movie also came out during a time where poker was big. So, I was like, even me and Joe, if we were watching the movie, like, I know what the hell that river card's going to be. It for people that don't play poker, I think it was a very good, like, sleight of hand or dramatic pause. But for me, I'll be like, oh, okay. I thought the movie went about 15 minutes too long. That movie should not be 2.5 hours, to be honest with you. But I thought it was a good reset and a good way to start the Daniel Craig era. And I love that the fact that they kept Judi Dench as M and to kind of give us that through line as we go through. Okay, Joe, what movie do you have at number 2?
My number 2 is Skyfall. It had it's sort of focused on like a resetting Bond. He sort of quote unquote died. He was reborn again. We're talking about sort of just him kind of falling off the grid or whatever it is, and sort of doing that kind of thing. I think I sort of, I don't know. It just I like the story in general. I didn't think that there's anything necessarily like bad with it, so it had like a nice even tone, I think, in my opinion. I think the Bond girl, it's Christoph Waltz as well. So right, no, sorry, that's Spectre. But yeah, with Skyfall, it's just, I don't know. It's when I remember watching this in theaters, expecting a lot, and I'm not sure why I was expecting a lot, but for whatever reason, when I left the theater, I was like, all right, it totally like hit all the marks for what I wanted this next one to be. Just it had like kind of, it was very, very dark. We're dealing with him trying to come back, and the fact that he came back, it was kind of like it was very satisfying to watch. And again, I'm a huge Craig fan. I think he's doing an excellent job. I'm a little bit sad that reportedly the next James Bond film is his last one. I get it. You did it for a very long time. But yeah, it's just sort of a combination of my favorite James Bond with Daniel Craig, and sort of just checking up all the boxes that he did very, very well. Sort of just put it up really high. So Skyfall for my number 2.
And you, Jared, what do you have at number 2?
My number 2 is Casino Royale. It had been a long enough tenure or time between the last Pierce Brosnan and that movie where I was fucking ready to see another James Bond. I remember I saw the movie with some of my friends in the theater, and I really wasn't expecting much. And Johnny, you spoke about the parkour scene and how it just drew you in, and it was really like nothing you'd seen in a Bond movie before. You just were sitting through it going like, is this fucking James Bond? What is this? And it was incredible. God, I'll never forget how tense the scene was when he tries to restart his own heart.
Yeah.
Like how fucking wild that is. And then she plugs the lead back in and just shocks him. The opening is one of my favorite openings in a Bond movie. This is kind of like, you'd call Casino Royale like the prequel to all of them, right? Like It shows how he got his number. It shows how, he became this spy of lore, and it's very fantastic. I really want to watch it after we record this. Yeah, it would have been my number 1 if it wasn't for my number 1.
So fittingly enough, my number 2 is Sean Connery's second outing. It is From Russia with Love. I really enjoy this movie, and I think it is the second best Bond movie they have. One, because I think this movie is the fully realized version of what Connery wants to do with Bond. There's enough tongue-in-cheek in there, but it's a lot more serious. Goldfinger kind of flips it the other way around, where there's enough seriousness, but it's kind of more tongue-in-cheek. But I think just the one-on-one between him and Red Grant, who was played by Robert Shaw, I thought was fantastic. The cat and mouse of them trying to track one another, who they are. And the story is very simple. It is one of the more faster moving Bond movies. I know you talked about before about how the score would be bombastic in these older films. And you're like, why are we inserting that music right here now? From Russia with Love doesn't do that. Dr. No does that. And that was one of the first movie I was like, this is what you started off with, and people were excited. But From Russia with Love, I think it started off really well. The fight scenes, especially at the end between Connery and Shaw, it was only like a 2 minute fight scene, but there's one of the few times where it was both of them hand to hand combat that you can kind of see. And the way they were kind of cutting it kind of tells you what they were kind of thinking with other Bond movies as they kind of go along with it. I absolutely love this movie. I remember when the PS2 game came out. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna play this game." Like, it's one of the more simplistic Bond movies, but sometimes I kind of need that, and it goes from point A to point B and ends just like that. You get in and you get out. I loved it. All right, you guys, we are here at number 1. Joe, what is your favorite James Bond movie?
I don't think it's gonna be surprising for people what I said before, just modernization sort of thing. It's gonna be Spectre, and just it's interesting because then you have the transition from Judi Dench to Ralph, what's it, Fiennes, whatever, the new M,
Ralph
uh,
Fiennes.
Fiennes, whatever. Also, I mean, it's Christoph Waltz, man. It's Christoph Waltz. I mean, I absolutely love this guy. I think he's an incredible method actor. I think he does an excellent job as a great villain. I loved the intro scene where they were doing the missions, a mission in like Mexico City for the Day of the Dead. I thought that the cinematography was fantastic. I loved the story behind it. I loved the new people in it. I loved, you know, just everything about it. It's just, I think, given how much money was poured into this movie, which is expected, I expected, all new kinds of shit, all crazy, stunt actions, things like that, and they did. I think that's what they exactly did, and they sort of got what they put into it. And again, I'm a type of dude who's like, oh, fresh new painted coat, the newest model, whatever, awesome, let's check it out. And it just appeals to me a lot. And I get that for a lot of people, older stuff is more appealing to them, and that's obviously an opinion difference. So, and if we were to do this after the next movie comes out, with No Time to Die, I could have probably made No Time to Die my favorite movie. So just sort of how it goes. I still think, even for a lot of people, I would say that Spectre with Christoph Waltz, it's probably within all the Bond series, easily in the top 10, I think, for a lot of people, for the average person, or even for critics, I'd say. But after watching the movie, I was a big fan, made me like Daniel Craig even more, and made me even sadder that the next movie will be his last. So that's my number 1, Spectre.
Out of the movies I thought you were going to say, Spectre was not the one I thought.
Not the one I thought you would.
I know.
I guess wrong.
Here's
that
the thing,
one gets
though.
lampooned a lot.
I guess. So the thing I'm thinking is, and these are for stupid ass reasons I didn't like. Okay, Casino Royale, and again, I'm gonna go ahead and say these are stupid reasons. Okay,
It has to be because of the poker.
yeah, the poker scene. I'm just like, bro, what? Okay, so this guy is a world class spy, and you can't give me a tell on the guy that bleeds from his eyes when he's bluffing or whatever. I mean, I guess, and it was just sort of outrageous. Now, I think this is also the scene where he gets his balls crushed, right? So I mean, that's an intense scene. It's extremely excruciating. I think it was done well. I think all movie was fantastic. It was just a black stain. And then for Quantum of Solace, I'm like, fucking water? What the shit? And so that just sort of made again, the entire movie was good. It's just that part was just like, bro, what? So that's sort of why the other ones are just above this. So that's all I'm saying about that. Daniel Craig, if you're listening, which you obviously are, I love you.
All right, Jared, what movie do you have as the number 1 Bond movie?
Oh, it's Skyfall for sure. From the Adele song, all the way to the very end when he gets the fucking Aston Martin from the garage. It paid homage to James Bond's history while forging its way into the future so well. Javier Bardem is terrifying in that movie. I mean, the CGI of his face, I could have done without. That looks pretty fucking goofy when he takes the jaw. I think they could have done without that or done it better. But I think it is the most exciting Bond. I think it is the most wholly realized James Bond we get in any of these modern movies or any of the movies before. And going back to like his familial estate was just so fun. You know what I mean?
I agree with Jared at number 5, and I agree with Jared number 1. It is Skyfall. I think Skyfall, to me, it really depends on how you view the movie. Like, first off, they brought Sam Mendes. If you guys don't know who Sam Mendes is, he doesn't usually do blockbuster action films like this. This is the same guy that did American Beauty. He did Road to Perdition. Like, these are little smaller tales that he kind of does. So to be able to give that type of understanding to Bond, you could tell this guy loves James Bond when he's growing up. And that's where the homage kind of goes in. That's why the storytelling kind of goes in. It is beautifully shot by Roger Deakins. Roger Deakins is one of the best cinematographers out there. And the whole fight scene between him and the assassin on the skyline in China with the lights kind of going through, like, that scene could have been very messy, but it was so clean to kind of watch and kind of see, and I absolutely loved every second of it. I have a greater appreciation for this movie after I rewatched all the Bond movies for a draft that I was doing last year, because I can now see little different things he was hiding within this movie. My biggest thing why I love this movie so much, besides all the stuff that Jared said, is that there's certain movies that we know that they follow tropes. Can you kind of ascend it? I love The Dark Knight simply because I think it ascended past being a comic book movie. I think this movie is one of the few movies where I'm like, it ascended past being just a James Bond movie. Not only was it fun, I think having his relationship with M towards the end, like throughout the whole, that's the movie's through line, is between their two and that relationship. And I thought it was so well done. And you gave Judi Dench, Joe said it perfect when he brought up The World Is Not Enough. That was an appetizer for her in that movie to have this part into it as being the main feast. So yeah, I have Skyfall at number 1, and I don't think a movie might touch that for a little bit. Now, I could be wrong. No Time to Die, I've only seen one trailer. I know there's a lot of new ones. I just haven't watched any of them.
How have
But
they not fucking named a James Bond movie No Time to Die?
right?
Like, I keep thinking that, like, wait, is this
You thought that was like a Casino Royale situation?
well, no, I thought it was just such a perfect James Bond movie name.
Yeah.
I was like, the fuck?
So, but yeah, I love Skyfall. I think it is, we talk about last week, I said top 50 favorite films. This movie is in my top 50. It's like, this is how great I thoroughly love this movie. And I remember the experience in theater. I was like, shit. I mean, I thought I saw something special. And then when I watched it the second time on Blu-ray, I was like, oh shit, I really do love this movie. So I bought a poster for it, but it's in the closet right now. So we'll have to wait for it later. All right, you guys. So that is our top 5 of the best James Bond movies that we've seen. Joe, where can they find us?
You can always find us at Film Lovers GTTG on all social media platforms. We would love to hear your opinions on Bond, on Daniel Craig, on Sean Connery, on anybody else, and how you feel about No Time to Die coming out later this year, I believe. I hope you guys are very excited, because I am. Please go see the movie. Please check out all of Daniel Craig's films. And let us know if you think that my opinion of Goldfinger is too low. We'd love to hear from you. Send us questions, comments, concerns at Film Lovers GTTG.
Fans, I would like to say that Goldfinger being number 5 is the least of the concerns of the Joe's list, but
What the
that's
fuck?
neither here or there. I would have other questions about that list, but that's actually, what makes this very unique. Jared, what about you?
You can find me at JLUTHY, J Luthi, tweeting about pro wrestling, all things, movies, TV, stuff like that. I recently tweeted about how tired I was coming home from work. And I tweeted about Deathloop, how good it is, how good the aesthetics are. I'm trying to also find some other stuff. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take this into another area of what I watched. I watched that documentary on Amazon, and I tweeted about it. It's called the LuLaRoe doc about the leggings and about how basically they're a cult multi-level marketing scheme. Highly recommend. It is fascinating and terrifying. Watch it. It's 4 episodes, 45 minutes each on Amazon about LuLaRoe and predatory selling and getting involved in pyramid schemes.
And you guys, you can always find me at JNO11. That's JNGO11. Usually just tweet about movies and sports. Probably going to tweet another top 10 list of something to get everyone irritated on film Twitter, but you can check it out there as well. If you guys, I want to say thank you for you guys' support. If you guys can, please rate, review, subscribe to our show. If you have Good Pods app, that is something that we've been tracking really well. We're still number 1 for the month under the TV and film. There's another podcast that has beat us this week. I would like to change it by the end of this week if that would be possible. But yeah, just give us a listen there or any place that you do listen to your podcast. Next week is going to be the start of October. So that means horror movies are to come. So we were going to review James Wan's newest film, *Malignant*. So until then, we'll talk to you guys next time.